Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Anything and Everything podcast. I'm your host, James, and this is your host, Matt. And we are here to, talk about anything and everything. And to start off, though, you see the Phillies. We got to talk about it. They're in the World Series.
World Series, baby. Come
Yeah,
on.
for real. Whether they win or not, I'm happy with what's been going on. You can't ask for much more. The only thing more you can ask for is for them to win the World Series, and you just can't always count on that, but we can hope for it. And as a Phillies fan, I am definitely hoping for it. But that being said, you got to look at the bullpen, and you really got to think about what they've been doing, because obviously, we have Bryce Harper. He's been producing. Obviously, we got Reese Hoskins and bunch of guys that have been producing, but not many people look at the bullpen. And usually when they do, they talk bad about the Phillies bullpen. But I think that their bullpen really showed up the past few games. This whole off season, except for one case in the rain. Sorry, Anthony Dominguez, and I don't think he produced that well. But it was also, it was rainy. It wasn't. He wasn't looking too great. I think he may have given up a home run. I don't remember exactly, but uh I know he threw a lot of balls.
I wouldn't be able to do that. Dude,
Yeah.
throwing 100 miles an hour in the rain.
Yeah, no, he did throw them fast. I will say that.
It's not easy.
Almost all
Curveballs,
of his were
sliders.
fast. Yeah. So I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying he didn't produce like you would expect, but he
No.
did. He is a pitcher, and they have a lot of weight on their shoulders, and that's what you got to look at. You're not always going to have a great game, anyways. But that being said, I think the bullpen has been great. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because they got better during the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point when they were like the worst, like they had the worst bullpen in the league. And, you know, it goes to show you of how the game of baseball could change just like that for anybody. And you got the Yankees. Dude, the Yankees are out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
nuts. There was a point where they were like the best in the whole entire MLB.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like, the Phillies winning the pennant, dude. It's like surreal almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at that stadium and it's just nuts. Like it hasn't been that packed since 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, and the Phillies haven't been in the World Series since 2009.
2009.
When they lost to, who was it? Who did they lose to? Was it the Yankees?
Yankees, yeah.
Yankees, yeah. But they won the year before that. But I just think,
What a team.
I know it's just looking at the roster. In my opinion, I would have been like, if I didn't know how the Phillies performed on a daily basis, I would have been like, yeah, of course I can win the World Series. Looking at the roster, but based on how they produced over the past few years, obviously, if they're better this year than they have been previous years, they've gotten more depth to them, a lot much better hitters on the team. But if you just look at the basis where it started, I say it started with Bryce Harper, but obviously Reese Hoskins was here before Bryce Harper, and but the real hope and faith came when JT Realmuto and Bryce Harper came in, and obviously in those first few years they didn't produce much. Like Bryce Harper did, don't get me wrong, but the team did not produce much. And
Castellanos too coming in.
yeah, but recently, like, yeah, with the new acquisitions of this all season, I think they really did improve the team. And looking at it from just any person who may know baseball but not really know the Phillies too much, they would probably be like, yeah, they can win. But being a Phillies fan, you don't really look at it like, oh, they can win. You look at it like, oh, okay, they have a good roster, but they're the Phillies. They're going to do what the Phillies do best and give you hope, and then you're going to lose all hope by the end of the season. I say it did a complete 180 on us, and we went from I had almost no hope to having a lot more hope. And
Yeah.
I think that is something that really stands out when you look at the roster, because they did improve the team, but even during the season, they weren't really producing as they should, I don't think.
No. No, and like the Astros are going to be hard.
Oh, yes, they
The
are.
Astros are really, really good. Their talent is just unreal. Um, but yeah, like what's like crazy?
What?
So my mom comes home from work, and her one coworker was like, "Yeah, the tickets are like some are like 2,000 a piece,
Mm-hmm.
and crazy stuff like that, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying to my mom, he's like, if I got one of those tickets and went to that stadium during the World Series, I'd be like teary eyed.
Yeah.
And I think I could agree to that.
Yeah, you know what's crazy though about the
I
prices?
totally would agree to
I
that.
mean, I just watching the game when they won, I was starting to get teary eyed. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah,
one
yeah,
thing
same.
that someone pointed out today that I saw maybe on Facebook or something, probably Instagram. I don't go on Facebook too much, but just for standing, like just to get into the building, it's $400. Like that's just standing room. That's not for a seat. Like the seats, yeah, forget that because I'm not even spending $400 to stand, let alone paying almost double that to get a seat. So it's crazy how because I got tickets in the second row this season just for $25 at one point, and now just for standing room it's a lot more than $25. $400, that's like 8 times the
Oh,
price. And it's crazy, but also
jeez.
it's understandable. It's a World Series, but like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy. I don't think I could go
Like,
to a game. I mean, I would love to.
like, see, the one thing is like with me, everybody has their connections to somebody in your life that you loved that had
Hmm.
passed away or something like that, or even now.
Yeah,
Um, so like the Phillies, the one thing that I think of with the Phillies is Pop, is my
yeah.
grandfather.
I was actually thinking that once you brought that up.
And
Him.
in a way, that's what made me get emotional as well when they
Hmm.
when they won the pennant was
Yeah.
because my grandfather was all about the Phillies,
Hmm.
which was weird because he was a dude who grew up playing football
Hmm.
and he did like intramural baseball. He did it for the fun of it. But like when they won the World Series in 2008, I remember I was sitting in my basement and at the time it wasn't redone like it is now.
Yeah.
It was like it
I,
was
I remember
half
exactly
of
how it
it
was. Yeah.
half of it was an apartment for my grandparents, my mom's parents, and they lived with us. They lived with us until I was 12. And I still remember sitting on the corner and I don't remember what game it was, but it was right when they won the pennant. And I think it was that series, I think. And I still remember a ball coming in, getting hit, and Victorino comes in and catches it, and he's running with the glove up in his hand.
Hmm.
And I still remember that and seeing that on the TV. And my grandfather used to actually sit in his recliner with a rally towel
Hmm.
that he bought somewhere. I don't know where he got it, throwing it around. Same
Yeah.
thing with my grandmother.
I remember the TV being in that corner right there. I remember how the
Yeah.
couches were set up. I remember the little fridge that they had that Sonny got into a few times.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of stories actually from this basement that I remember. Just that time period, whether it's in this basement, up the street, someone else's house. Mainly everything in this neighborhood though. We did not do much outside the neighborhood, but you didn't need to when you had people in this neighborhood that we had. We had a group of people where everyone could just walk into each other's houses sometimes, and some people wouldn't ask questions because we were all pretty tight. And then, yeah, as we grew up, people drifted apart, people got into arguments. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but that's just life. But those times were some crazy times for us because it was like we were young kids always going outside right after school. My mom would always be like, "You got to get your homework done first." So I would rush to get my homework
Same
done.
thing with my
I
mom.
would
Yeah.
run out the door, go play soccer up the street or kickball or hockey, anything. We played a
Wiffle
bunch of
ball,
wiffle ball
stick
right
ball.
at the
Stick
corner.
ball was some of my favorites.
We played a whole bunch, and stickball was probably more when we grew up a little bit. It was probably like closer to middle school. It wasn't middle school, but it was closer to middle school. Probably started like probably between like sixth grade, maybe
Street hockey was the best
fifth
too.
grade. Yeah, street hockey. I can remember doing that. We did that all the time. I remember got into some fights with someone. It was good times though. We got into fights, but it was good times. Believe me. Him and I fought a few times. Just fought. Yeah,
That's
it
like the
was a
one
natural
thing.
thing.
You know what it was too? In a way, this sounds pretty nuts to say. In a way, when we played street hockey, it was like Fight Club with Brad Pitt and what's his name? Crap. What was the other dude that was with him? Edward Norton.
Oh yeah.
It was like
I know
because
what
like you would like go there and play for like get whatever you had to get out, have
Mhm.
fights, and then like when all was all said and done, be cool with them afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one time me and you got in a fight right in front of your house. A few days later, we were just hanging out like normal. Uh, Same with, I mean, okay, the most prime example was me and Dom Mendek.
You two go at it a lot.
That was probably one of the most well known within the neighborhood, like fights, and then
You know what
hanging
it
out the
was
next
though
day.
too. Like you two were like the same size.
Yeah, I was a little
Stuff,
bit
like-
taller than him.
I just saw. Speaking of, it was just my 21st birthday recently.
Happy birthday!
Last week, October 12th, and his dad was there.
Here, you know what? For your birthday, crack one open. Crack one open. There you go. He had those sitting there, so I just thought of it. It's a well. By the time you'll see this, it'll be like 2 weeks because we do film these a week in advance. So that's why we're not really much of like. I like talking about sports, but I don't like to try to keep up with sports on this podcast because we do film these in a week in advance. So by the time you're seeing this, the World Series could be like we could already know who's has the, for all we know, someone could be 3-0, and then like I don't remember exactly when all the games are, so I don't know by next Friday if they'll get 4 games in. But so we do film these a week in advance. So by the time you see this, it'll be 2 weeks since his birthday hit. But yeah, so happy birthday to you. We actually had a little get together. Speaking of people from the neighborhood, there was a bunch of people from our neighborhood and from
People that
outside.
moved out.
Yeah, who stopped by to a local pub that we have for his birthday. And
Yeah, it was awesome, and like it. That's like the one thing now. Like Dom's dad was actually there.
Yeah,
Remember he bought me a shot.
yeah, he was there.
And it's crazy because
So
the
his
last
mom
time I
too.
saw Dom in person, I think was during the summer.
Last time I saw him in person was probably one of our hockey games or
June
something.
probably.
I don't know if I don't think he was there for our alumni game because we did play hockey. Him and I.
Yeah.
We were on the same team for years.
No, he's a good dude, and he's like I see him like in public once in a while. That's the one thing, dude, with people in our neighborhood. If it's somebody that we knew our whole lives, whatever, even if they moved out,
Yeah.
I never have that feeling of hesitation going to say hi to them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
Like
there are some people who even in high school I wasn't a huge fan of, but now I see them in the street or whatever, and I'll say hi. Like I don't care. A lot of the things that happen were just
even the people that
stupid.
moved out.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, like even the people that moved out.
yeah, and it just we were all just one big group of people who split into different paths, and that's what it really was. So you don't even care what happened in between. You just talk about what happened in the past when everyone hung out.
Like what was it? Like it was like, dude, in our neighborhood, it's like what, like probably like 10 kids on each street.
On each street, yeah.
You
Because
know,
it's
like,
not 10 kids in total. It was about
like-
10. And we on in this so to give you an idea, we live in one big circle, but it's not like a cul-de-sac. It's like a big circle with it's one street, and then it has
just a
it's
bunch of
divided
blocks in the middle.
into 3 blocks in between. So we have the block
Our
that
neighborhood's huge, though. That's not even like that's probably what, a quarter of our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we had people outside of this circle of people, but of this section.
Juniper circle.
Yeah. but we had people outside of that, but most of the people were inside that circle. And that was what was great about it because everyone was so close. Like I tell my I have a friend who lives in Texas now and I tell him about it and he's like, "What, you're just walking to your friend's house?" I'm like, "Yeah. I can I don't have to drive like a
Hmm.
mile. Like I can walk a mile too, but I don't even have to go a mile to see my friends. It can be like I don't know, it's like what, like 200 feet maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so it's always nice, just having people within, especially then when you couldn't go too far, you couldn't drive at that age.
Yeah,
So it was so
yeah.
nice.
Like
So,
the thing that's crazy too, I feel like every like neighborhood or section or whatever, you have like couple things that everybody does the same.
yeah,
Like for example, dude, I feel like with every adult in our neighborhood, we call them Mister and then their first name, like
yeah.
Mister Randy, Mister. Like my dad was always Mister Knoll,
Yeah.
and
My dad
like
was Mr. Mike.
yeah, and like Mister Walt,
Mm-hmm.
um, Mister Jim,
Mm-hmm.
Mister Sam,
Yeah.
like Mister Jerry. Like it was all. It's like crazy because that's like pretty much all like what we call the adults. And it was funny because even Mister Randy came.
To
Yeah, you
your
saw him.
Yeah, he came to your little thing at the that pub.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, he's like, it's crazy you're 21. I still remember helping you crossing the street. When we were like growing up, we
Mm-hmm.
were friends, I feel like since we were like 4 or 5, but it was almost like natural.
Yeah.
So
There were gaps where we hated each other, but yeah, for the most part, we were friends the whole time.
there was a time when, and I know exactly what he's talking about. There was a time where I would walk to your house. And this was the time where I was like afraid of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right when I got attacked, which is another story. And I remember you, I would go to your house, but I would
Yeah.
walk on the sidewalk
Oh yeah.
because I feel like that if I was in the street, a dog would see me or whatever. I would stop at that corner in front of your house where Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Randy's house is. And I would like I would honestly, when he was outside, I used to ask him to walk me across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he talked about that for my
Well,
21st birthday.
so that being said, tell some people about your issue with dogs when you were younger because you mentioned dogs
Oh,
and we need some background
it
information.
was
It's
like
funny.
I don't know what to call it, a phobia. So, like when I was a little kid, I'm not going to say who I was with, who a friend I was with, but I was probably around 5 and I was at a friend of mine's house who actually lived in our neighborhood, but Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived on what's the one street? Crap.
Saratoga.
No, not Saratoga Ave.
Um, I know a lot of streets in there. I just drawn a blank. There's Washington, I think, something like that.
I forget, but might have been Washington. And he had this big dog that was a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat, golden retrievers are known for being really good dogs and don't do too much harm.
Yeah.
So I remember this so vividly. I remember me and him were sitting at the kitchen table. His parents weren't even around, and the dog was sitting next to the kitchen table in front of this door. And I remember I think I was eating like chicken fingers or something. And I went to get up to throw my plate out. And the dog was on the floor, and I guess it was sleeping or whatever. And I went to pet it.
Oh yeah.
And I remember right when I put my hand out, I don't know what happened in between, but the dog full on, it was like a flash image. The dog was on top of me, pretty much biting the crap out of me. And I passed out.
Yeah.
And I was in shock. Now, my mom always tells me to this day, it's a good thing you passed out. And I was like, why? And she was like, because if you were awake, that thing just put holes in you,
Mm-hmm.
insanely bleeding holes.
Mm-hmm.
If you were awake, you could have tugged.
Yeah, it would have hurt some.
So
chunks
she
off.
was like, that could have been, I even think I wet my pants. Like it was terrible. And I remember sitting on the countertop and I remember them like I had bruises on me from the dog because it was a big dog and I was a little guy. I was 5.
Mhm.
And I think that I was like, I remember saying some crazy like crap. I remember I was saying like, yeah, I think we were in like the garage, like hanging out in the garage or something.
Mhm.
And I didn't, my mind was racing a mile a minute. So my mom picked me up. There's another thing I remember. My mom picked me up and we were driving home and my mom was like crying and I never realized what it was. And then recently she told me, I was really upset because his mom called my mom
Yeah.
an hour before that happened, saying, I'm gonna go pick Matt up. And his mom said, they're having such a good time. Just pick him up, like an hour later, let him, stay for a little bit more.
Mhm.
And my mom went, all right, and hung up the phone.
Gotcha.
So she felt that, what, if she didn't make that decision, that wouldn't have happened.
Mhm.
She's right, but like you can never blame her for
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean it's experiences, whatever.
Yeah.
But that reminds me of another story. Do I have permission to tell another story about a dog and you possibly wetting yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it was during that time. It was like after that.
Yeah. So we were in the woods. I think you remember the story. I think you know where I'm going with
Yeah, I
this.
do.
So we were in the woods right behind my house, and we have like a bunch of houses
Which
right
was the best.
that line it. And we were right behind one of our neighbors' houses, and they had dogs. And I guess the dog or whatever was out and somehow maybe got in the woods, whatever it was. I don't remember. Maybe they had a fence. I don't remember exactly what it was, but somehow you either got bit or got chased down or whatever. And all I remember, this is why I brought it up, is you saying, I have to go home. I just peed myself.
Yeah,
And
I
you started
did.
running home.
I did. No, I totally peed because like it was like at the time, dude, it was like a phobia. Like smaller
Yeah.
dogs I could deal with, but
Mhm.
I remember at the time I'm like I had to if I went to somebody's house, I would tell them in advance, can you put the dog in the laundry room or someone's bedroom or something
Yeah.
while I'm there? John actually had to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one time his dog bit my brother's butt, I think. Or was it mine? I
It
don't
was
remember.
Mickey. Mickey used to do that.
Yeah, or
No,
was it
no,
you?
not Mickey. No.
Oh, no,
Who
no, no.
was
It
it?
was they had a Rottweiler.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was the Rottweiler. I remember.
There
Bit someone's
was
butt.
that wasn't Mickey, was it?
I don't remember all
He
the
had a
names.
good amount
It
of
may have
dogs.
been
He
Mickey,
had
but I don't
3 of the
remember.
same. I remember he had 3 of the same
Oh
dogs.
yeah.
The first 2 we had, I still remember, Maddie and McGee.
Yeah, Maddie McGee.
And then the third one was Eli,
Eli, yeah.
and the fourth one was Mickey.
Yeah, yeah. So Mickey was the
So Mickey
Rottweiler.
was the Rottweiler.
Yeah, and Mickey bit someone's butt. I don't remember exactly whose, but I just remember it happening. But that being said, I remember you did bring up small dogs, and we had my family.
They're still around, right? Mickey and Eli.
Oh, I have no idea. I've not been to his house in a while. We can go up the street and ask him, but
Yeah, I think they are.
but I remember you. So you weren't scared of small dogs, which is funny because we had a friend who lives on the street. Actually, not gonna call out any names, but he would be. My family had small dogs, and he came over our house one time. He was so scared of a little Shih Tzu, and
Yeah, I didn't have any problems with that.
it was
big dogs.
hilarious.
Speaking of, Dom had a big Rottweiler.
Yeah.
What was his dog's name? His dog's name was Sam. Sam was it?
I think it may have
Samuel,
been
something like that?
Samuel or something like that. Yeah.
Samson. I don't
Samson.
know.
Oh, I think it was Samson. I think it
Was
was
it?
Samson. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was.
He was a good dog.
Yeah. But I just thought it was funny because my dog, Pebbles, was one of the sweetest dogs ever. Barely bit, only bit if you deserved it. Which
Pebbles, Peppy.
Yeah.
You had one before that too, right?
Yeah, but I never met that dog,
Yeah.
Max.
Your
But
sister probably did, right?
my sister and my brother both did.
Sister and brother.
Older
yeah.
brother. And but a little Shih Tzu, and this dude was scared. He was young, so whatever. But it was hilarious. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. But going back to big dogs, yeah, Dom. I think it was Samson because I
I think it
remember something like that. Um, a
Oh,
lot of people had dogs in
you
this
remember Louis? Louis had a dog. This is way back. You might not even remember this. Louis had a dog up the street.
Yeah, what
He
kind?
had a dog. It was one of those dogs that looked like an exact wolf, a husky. Is that what it's called?
A husky? Yeah, that looked like a wolf. Yeah.
An exact wolf. Like I remember Louis had that dog, and I think that I wonder when that dog passed away. They have a new dog now, but I remember that dog. I
They have a
forget that
dog?
dog's
Huh.
name.
Yeah, I might not remember this exactly, but you know,
Al has a couple dogs.
yeah, Al,
Rudy and Max.
yeah. Wow, they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
I remember them when we
Rudy
were
chased
younger.
me.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah.
We were like, I used to like, I knew the houses that had
Matt ran
dogs.
from a lot of dogs.
I knew the houses that had a lot of dogs.
You got bit by a dog in your own garage or something, or at least chased, right?
Yeah, I had phases. I had these phases where
He's not quite the dog whisperer.
I had these phases with dogs. Like first, I was like scared shitless of them, and then it came a point where I started growing a lot. I got a lot bigger. I had that big 1 foot growth spurt, and I was like more. I wasn't as intimidated, but it was over
Yeah,
the top. Like if a pit bull came up to me, I'd kick that thing in the face.
yeah.
And I did that to the one dog. What was the dog's name? It was a pit bull. It was black and white.
Black and white pit bull. Who was the owner? That's how I can tell you the
I
name.
think the dog's name was Bobby Sue.
Oh, Bobby Sue. Oh yeah.
So
right
this
up
is
the
like
street.
later, like when I was probably like 14,
Mhm.
13,
Probably,
middle school.
Yeah,
And I was out of that phase, but I was in that phase where it's like if a dog comes running at me and it
it was a new phase.
has those teeth going. That dog, my mom even told me, don't let that dog screw with you because that dog is like vicious. Like that dog,
Mhm.
I remember that dog came running at me, and this is a pit bull, and this dog had like these teeth, and it was coming at me like it wasn't coming at me like it came at me like this.
Yeah, me and this one kid, Luke, who lives up the street. He's a few years younger, but we were hanging out one time. We just decided to ding dong ditch. I don't know why. So we went right across the street, which is where this dog
That was
lived.
probably the only bad thing we did, though.
I mean, I wouldn't say we ever did anything bad.
Maybe the only bad thing I did, but I know you probably did some stuff that was worse.
I don't know if I'd say things that are worse, but did some other things that are comparable.
Yeah. We did a lot.
But the ding dong ditching
A lot of
was like a
crazy
big,
crap.
amazing phase that I still would love to do, but I'm out. I'm not. That's for younger.
Well, we
kids.
always used to do it at night,
Yeah,
and
I did it in the day a few times.
I remember we did it one time in the day, never again, because there's a reason why they do it at night because it's dark, you can't see. Our
Mhm.
dumbasses did it during
It
like
wasn't my last time doing it.
like middle of the day, and
I know exactly what story you're telling. I'll
We
let you do
went-
it though.
the house is 2 doors down from me.
Yep.
And they came out, and I remember I don't know if you were I think
I
don't know.
was jumping over a bush
This
that your
dude-
neighbors had at one point,
yeah on
and
the
I
driveway right
Yeah,
next door they had a bush next to their driveway, so it's kind of perfect to sit behind, and you were a smaller dude, so it was perfect. I definitely wouldn't
but I
do it.
tripped over and they saw me. But
And you tripped, and the guy just looked out and he goes, "I see you."
yeah,
Like, "I see you."
I remember that.
And then you got up and booked it
Mm.
in my house, and then we ran in.
Yeah, and
that
about
was it.
2 or 3 doors down from them, is where that dog lived that you were talking about. And me and Luke went to that house. Ding dong ditched them. It was about like maybe 7 p.m. It was like just getting dark out at the time. And we rang the doorbell, ran straight into his garage, and all you hear is the dude, the owner of the dog. He was an asshole, but he said, I want you to find those mother effers and chew them up to pieces. And we were in the garage. We were
That's why I
literally
never-
right
I
there
remember
and
you
heard.
telling me that. That's probably
And-
why I never trusted that dog,
Yeah, no,
because of that.
I mean, he didn't give a crap. He didn't care how old we were. He wanted his dog to bite us, so we, learned a lesson. But I never got caught by him. Never. I got caught once,
Remember you
and it
telling me
was
that.
by him. And any other time that maybe someone knew who it was me, it was just because I knew it was me. They knew that I did it. I never truly got caught except that one time,
And
but I didn't get caught by their dog.
dude, I
so
remember like if we were
thank God.
doing something mischievous or whatever, if we were ding dong ditching, whatever we were doing. I remember your brother would be pretty like calm, cool, collected because he was like one of the older like
Yeah, it
ones
was
in our
like
group.
3 years
But
old.
I remember when I was younger, he would make a certain face and it would make me scared because I knew we were in deep shit. Like he would go, like he would, because he was always calm, cool, collected,
Yeah.
you know. So like, and then like when something like happened where he thought we're in deep crap, I would look at his face and like if he made that face, like, shit.
I'm drinking lemonade right now. Continue.
So there was the one time where I think you, me, Jack, and I
Yeah.
think Dom.
Yeah.
I don't know where John was at the time. And we were like ding dong ditching the people across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this might have been the time when you were gonna hop over the fence and the dude Chase came out and chased you with the broom. And your brother literally had to lift
Yank
you
me
up,
over the
yank you over the
fence.
fence before the dudes can hit you with the broom.
Yeah, he got maybe a few feet away from hitting the rim. I remember that moment. I could not climb the fence for the life of me for some reason, but he helped me over. Ever since then, I've been a pro at climbing fences.
And I remember, what's it like when you like, I think like he went inside and we're like, all right, let's hop back over this fence. We hopped back over in front of John's house and we're sitting there. And all of a sudden the sirens go
Mm-hmm.
and your brother makes that face. So I'm like, oh. And like, I remember like when your brother would make that face, like it just had that signal of like, I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
There was times where he'd make that face where I wanted to just go straight home.
Yeah.
And there was another people too. Like there was the people across from John's house. They were good people, but you know, you could tell he didn't screw around.
Not many
There
people
was,
did.
and they were Greek. So,
Oh yeah, they were nice.
like, behind their house, I feel like behind the houses in the backyards were like a hill,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On
but
that
they
side.
set it up so it wasn't a hill. It was like steps like that.
Yeah, it was
Going
more
down
like
instead of like big steps, like
yeah.
yard steps.
There's a
And
certain name for it, but yeah.
and like to make their backyard level.
Mm-hmm.
So it would go straight out and go down, and then it would be flat.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there was one time where we ding dong just their house, and we thought it was the best idea to go in their backyard.
Yeah, don't ever hide in the backyard of people you ding dong
Because our thought process was, okay, if you're gonna ding dong ditch this house, most likely the dude's walking across the house to get to the front door, and if we're going this way,
you won't cross paths.
you won't cross paths.
Yeah.
So we did that and went into their backyard. And I remember we're sitting in the step went like this, and we were at the bottom of the step hiding because we were small enough back then to do that.
Because it was made out of bricks. It's not just like a step where you take a step down. It's like you had to hop down.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like a little cliff thing. But yeah, continue.
And like every house in our neighborhood had like a back door, a sliding door, a regular door. And I remember we were sitting there. These two people, man. We were sitting there. I think we were in the middle of talking or something. And all of a sudden we heard the door go like, and the dude was like literally, we were like hiding underneath, and the steps like right here, like the top of it. And we're like hiding underneath, and the dude walks right here. His feet are like literally right this close to my head. And the dude just starts speaking in Greek or whatever he was saying. And like and then your brother, he walked right here. He made that face. And it took so much out of me not to start getting like even crying or wanting to
getting
get up
antsy
or just booking it across the other yard that was behind or nothing. Because I knew that if I ran, I wasn't going to understand them. So like it wouldn't channel through my head.
Yeah.
So I remember we sat there and I was like sweating bullets, and he was there standing there, he's talking and stuff. And then he walked back in his house. But dude, I thought you like were like holding in and laughing.
Probably. That's how most scenarios happen. When that's
Like
usually how
that
most
too. Like,
scenarios
oh
went.
my God.
Yeah.
And like it was close. We
Never
didn't
got
get
caught.
caught. Yeah, we didn't get
Never got
caught.
caught.
But then like we didn't do them again. I don't think did we do them again?
I mean, we probably didn't hide in
did.
their backyard, but I mean,
Yeah, we probably
even if
did,
we
but-
got caught at a house, we did their house again. It's not like,
Mhm.
oh no, we got caught. We're gonna cry about it. We're like, oh, we got caught. Next time we won't.
The
We learned.
Wisemers.
Yeah,
The Wisemers were
they hated us for that.
they were like they were like I don't know. They weren't mean people.
No,
They were
I
those
actually
people. They
got
were
in touch
those
with Jake
people.
again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he does film.
Oh yeah, he does do film.
Mhm.
They were like I don't know. They weren't mean people. They were really,
No.
really good people.
Yeah,
And
Judah, the younger boy, not boy, he's a senior in high school now. He runs with Anthony.
yeah, they weren't mean people. They were really good people. Um, but yeah, like, even like their dad, like
Yeah.
oh my, Mr. Andy,
Yeah, he was a really nice dude.
he was such a good guy. And like haven't talked to him in a while, but
One phrase I learned from them is you get what you get and you don't get upset. His mom said that.
yeah, there was a couple people that we used to go after. There was oh my, so many houses we used to go because we only went for the people that went to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like the thing. And I remember too, there were these two, this is a while ago. These two dudes. I don't know their last names. They were Leo, Dominique, Malik. What was the dude's name? Oh, started with an M. But I remember
I know
they
they
were
were
with
about,
us.
but I'm not good with names.
and those dudes, like it was like them hanging out with our group of friends in the neighborhood,
Mhm.
and they were from somewhere else, and they came in. Those dudes didn't screw around. I remember there would be moments where we'd be walking the street, and those dudes, Leo would go to one house
Yeah.
across the street, and Dominique would go to the other one and just go boom, 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 boom on the door.
Right.
And then everybody, and then they would run and be like, come on, come on. And everybody would be like, oh my God.
Yeah, we had no ideas
Ideas
coming
the
up.
street.
They just and so they both went to separate houses. So those people came out at the same time.
They would boom. Like,
Yeah, it's like
beat the crap
FBI
out of
open
their
up.
doors.
Like you probably those people probably thought like they're about to get robbed or something, or
Oh,
police were there or
they
something.
probably they probably crapped themselves because they
Yeah.
went boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm. He actually did that to one of the houses that we tried to refrain from because this guy sat on a porch one time with a rifle and was polishing the rifle. He did that to that guy's house one
What do
time.
we call him, Mr. Funk?
Yeah.
The whole neighborhood remembers him. That dude, that was the one that made us be like, we're not doing this.
We were a little cautious because he literally sat on a porch with a rifle.
Yeah, yeah. That dude, man. After him, that was like,
Keep in mind, we were young kids,
yeah.
maybe teenagers by the time we
this
stopped.
dude, and like, listen, learn from our experiences though. You know, there always comes that one person, so it's best to not do it at all. So,
I mean, if I was young, I'd probably still be doing it. But no, I see what you mean. Lessons learned, you know.
this dude, I remember it came to a point where they would do it so repetitive. We would do it so repetitively.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Continue.
Where he would just go nuts. He would call the police to a point. He would call the police, tell them if you don't straighten this out, their blood is going to be on your hands.
Mhm.
And that was like another thing. I'm like, oh my God.
I
And
think
like,
we were the reason he moved out.
probably. And then he, like, you know, being so young, you're like, what the, you don't know what to think really. So when you hear that, I remember being terrified. And like, totally, it was just totally crazy. And I remember he got to a point where he would like before the night would start, especially on a weekend, he would drive his truck, the red truck. Yeah, remember that thing?
Yeah.
He would ride that around the streets and everything like that, so that like if something happens and he doesn't catch anybody, then he knows who to blame.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one night where somebody ding dong ditched his house, and T-Bone, Tyler, he was walking.
Yeah. Haven't heard you say
He
it.
was walking
Don't
from
even
Ice's
lie.
house.
Yeah.
From Ice's house, and he was
yeah.
walking across.
Ice.
And the police officers were at his house because some of the people did it. So he was just walking home.
Mm-hmm.
So he's walking home, and these cops just go like, the dude just goes, "Oh, it's probably him. Get him." The cops go up to him, take him, handcuff him, throw him in the car, and take him literally just around the corner.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably like
to
less than a
Mr.
minute around the
Krebs's
corner.
house. And he gets out,
Back
and I
home.
even think he was
R.I.P.
so
Mr.
upset.
Krebs.
And
But yeah.
like, dude, I remember that. Like, cops in our neighborhood are usually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, right? I saw that, and I'm like, what the? That's effed up. I mean, you don't know it was him.
Mm-hmm.
He's just walking home from his friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that
It wasn't him.
he told us that the next day, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, but then people still did what they were doing.
Yeah.
And he just went nuts. Like the dude, like I even think the dude cut his bushes to be able to see over the freaking
Yeah.
the porch.
Actually, that reminds me. One time I ding dong did someone's house and I hid right in the bushes right next to their house.
Oh, I remember you doing that.
Actually, I remember one time I did it to your house. I hid in. That's not the time I'm talking about, but I did do it to your house once.
Yeah.
I think it was just like maybe we were even hanging out at the time, so we were just seeing you would answer. It was like a little fun thing. I mean, it was always a fun thing. We weren't bad kids. We just did things that people didn't like.
Took it like just a fun thing.
Yeah, it was
like,
a fun thing.
When we, because of him, we were like, yeah, it's probably not a good thing to take it this way.
I think we stopped right before he moved out. Then he moved out, and we're like, we already stopped.
Yeah.
It's nah. The fun was lost.
Nuts, though.
He was nuts.
He was nuts.
Yeah. I wish we had rewards because I think me or my brother, one of us would be walking away with the gold medal for. I think when it came to most houses, I did the most houses. My brother though, he had something about him. He was just really good at it. I mean, like I said, I got caught once. Yeah, but I got caught once.
Your brother was good at hiding, and your brother was fast.
Yeah, he was really fast, and
that's what it was with him.
But I say I probably did the most houses because I stuck with it the longest, probably out of most people in the neighborhood. But I never did it alone. You never want to do it alone. It's sort of like, what's the point at that point?
Yeah.
So we always did it with a group of people. But we had a group of people. But within that group of people, we had certain people, Matt being one of them, who wouldn't really do the ding dong ditching at certain points.
At some points,
they just like retired early, but they would be with the group still. It's sort of like a manager being the manager of the Phillies. He still has a Phillies jersey and he's with the team. Except I can't say he really coached us. But yeah. Maybe not the best way to explain it. But it was basically like that, where some people just hung out, ran, but they didn't do the ding dong ditching. Me and my brother did the ding dong ditching. We were the two main people to do it.
Your brother, I remember your brother. Your brother, I don't know what it was. Your brother was like good at climbing. Like, yeah, your brother
was a monkey.
Could have did like rock climbing for a living.
Oh, so I got caught twice.
Yeah.
The one time was right there. The second time, both in the middle of the day, by the way.
Right.
Just saying that. So I did get caught twice. It was the guy with the broom and the guy right down the street. Mm-hmm. Both of them were down the street, but yeah, everyone that we ding dong ditched was pretty much right down the street. I used
to, like when we played Predator or Manhunt.
Sometimes in the middle of the game, we just ding dong ditch.
I used to love to hear how everybody, like in the end of the game when we were like, "Where were you hiding? Where were you?" Because Mike would hide at the best spots. Like I remember he hid, climbed on top of Mr. Nick's shed, and was just laying flat.
Yeah.
And like right there, I was like, holy crap, dude's nuts.
Now, I will say, one of the best games I ever played of this. So Predator, pretty much like Manhunt. I don't know if you already mentioned
I used to get scared the heck when your brother was it. Because
everyone knew him as fast.
He was fast and like obviously had good insane agility. So
yeah, well, I remember one game that was one of the most memorable for me. There was a bunch of people playing. It was whatever, I don't know if it was a normal group though. It may have been, but I'll start off with this. I was getting chased at one point. It was in the middle of the game. I wasn't really hiding. I was sort of just wandering, hoping to avoid the person or people who are, because the way Predator worked is pretty much like yeah. Well, we made up the name, but the concept was already a thing. It's what is it? Infected. So basically, when you get someone, those people or everyone you get,
we get a group.
Yeah, and then
10
until the last
people.
person standing.
We sometimes have like 20 people.
Yeah,
we would get 10 people, and what you would do is you'd make somebody it by doing some odds thing that we did. The one person's it,
Eeny, meeny,
and
miny,
he was the predator. So
Mhm.
he would run. So
Tarzan
they
swings,
would
Tarzan falls.
count 30 seconds or a minute, and you would go hide somewhere. We used to do just this
Mhm.
block, just the block,
Just
on
this block.
Juniper and Ashburn,
Mhm.
and
Well, and right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Laurel Trail,
Mhm.
and we would make that whole block.
Yeah.
Go in people's backyards, front yards. We would go.
Some people didn't
porches.
like it. Like, hell yeah, we would be like, how Matt was on someone, or Mike was on Sammy's shed. I mean, Mr. Nick's shed.
Yeah, like,
and
nowadays,
most of the time,
I
Sammy
think
didn't
about
really.
that nowadays. I'm like, man, if I don't know how I'd feel
Yeah.
about that if I had a house. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and someone was hiding on
Now
my
that I'm
shed,
older,
on my
and
roof of my shed,
I remember,
hiding right next to their porch, on their porch.
yeah, and I remember like we would play, and the one person was it,
Mhm.
and then you would do 1, 2, 3, you're my man.
Yeah, and so basically, when you do that,
he was it
they're
with
infected, and it goes until there's one person that's not in. That person.
Now one person had to go to the base,
and
we would make the base like somebody's porch.
Yeah, and so basically,
was always last.
Base would be, the person who's last has to go there and they win. If you're tagged out basically before then the person who started won. And so basically everyone just wanted to be the last guy, but then at that point you have to dodge like 19, 20 other people just to make it to that base on this. I mean, it's not it's a pretty big block, but it's not like it's massive. Like block. 20 people can cover the whole block easily.
Oh yeah.
And I remember one time, the story I was starting, I was getting chased by like 4 or 5 people at this point, and right behind your house, actually. So on the other side of his house, so the houses are all back to back, basically. And right on the other side, I was running down the street on that side, and I ran right behind this house, right behind us right now. And I had people coming on from both sides to get me. And I was like, I'm screwed. I have no way out of here. I have 2 people coming right here, someone who's already like within there that I'm dodging while 2 other people are coming. And then I see 3 other people come, 2 from this side and 1 from this side coming in to get me. And I had to pull some magic moves there. I somehow made it out of there alive. When you do the math, that's like what, 6 or 7 people. I don't know. I didn't really do the math there.
Got out of there.
And I got out of there and I ran straight down the street. And and then it curves at a point. So then I turn that curve or whatever. I lose everyone because there's fences there, so they can't just run to down through backyards a lot. Some of them you can because not everyone has fences, but some people you couldn't. And so I ran around and basically across the street from my house. So I lived like here, and then the block was here. We had a street right here in the middle, and the block went like this. And so I ran the corner, and right here between the first 2 houses of the block, there are trees that lined up. Some of them are cut down now, but the ones I hid behind are still there. And I hid right behind there, not knowing someone else was in there. And it was Danny from a street.
Oh,
and me and him, we actually hid in there for hours,
time, right?
and the game was over, and we were in there, and no one found us, and no one even told us that the game was over. We were in there probably an hour past the game being over, maybe half hour.
I remember there would be points, and it was definitely like this with your brother. We would just be like, I would give up.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother, didn't your brother one time climb like the top of a tree or something?
He may have.
Like the one tree that was what was that one tree?
Oh, there's a lot of trees in this neighborhood. I mean, there's a forest right behind my house.
Like the one tree, I feel like your brother used to climb up the tree and like literally just chill up there the whole time.
Yeah,
and like he was
definitely the best at that.
Dude, I remember.
I tried.
Ball tag was fun too.
Oh, ball tag.
Do you
know how that all started? Well, I mean, it started with us just having fun, but you know how that continued, Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Everyone, this kid, he might be a senior now. I don't remember, but he's older.
Yeah, I think he's a senior.
He is. So he was young. He's younger than us, so he's not older than us. But he's older now. Obviously, years went by, but at this time, this kid shouldn't have a deep voice. It should be like so like
That was
a very
true about him.
high-pitched
He always
voice.
had a deep voice.
And he had a deep voice. He said, "Let's play ball tag," and it was like in my head, like everyone was just like, "What's up with his voice?" It's like so deep for someone his age, but he always wanted to play ball tag. It didn't
Don't get me
matter
wrong, don't
if
get
there
me
was
wrong,
only
it was
two
It was
people.
the best game.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
It was
It didn't
a good
matter
time.
though if there was just two of you, him and one other person. He would still want to play, but it was obviously more fun when you had more people. And with ball tag, it's a little bit more difficult. So we sort of cut the block in half. We could only use half the block, but it was fun. It was great. Um, but I remember him. He was the core memory of ball tag started with him in my mind.
Like I remember, dude. We used to do like crazy crap. Do you remember that one scene in The Sandlot where Benny's getting chased by the dog
Yeah,
and he runs around town and he runs back to back to the Sandlot,
yeah,
jumps over the fence and flips.
yep, yep.
That part where he jumps over the fence, you know where I'm probably going.
Yeah, I
with this,
know
right?
exactly where we're going with this.
Was so my brother was like at the other side of our fence in our backyard, and
I remember
you
this.
should try to put that in this clip. And
You have a video of it?
yeah,
Well, if you get a video, then maybe I can try my best. You
and
need to send it to me though.
and there's a part where in the movie he flips over the fence from being chased by the beast,
Yeah,
and he lands on his back. I remember my brother was getting chased by Matt. Not gonna say
right.
his last name, but
You didn't hear that.
I remember he was getting chased by him, and he was it. So he had the ball. He was good too. He would dress all in black and stuff. And I remember my brother jumps over the fence and just like flipped and land on his back, like flat on his back, and
Almost like a belly flop, except a back flop, and it wasn't into water.
that's exactly what it reminded me of. Me and your brother in the backyard, and we were like, oh, we cracked up.
Mm-hmm. I remember. I was there too. I remember seeing that.
I'll try to send that to you.
Yeah. Wait, oh yeah. If you have the video still, pull it up now. Send it to me now, actually, because I do want to see this like ASAP. Because I can't believe you have a video of it. So that's amazing. But yeah. So
Not my brother.
oh, the Sandlot. Oh, I thought you were talking about a video of your brother still. But yeah. So just all the young moments we had when we were younger. We'll probably talk about it more on like different podcasts as we go along. But there were podcasts there were a lot of memories that we had, and I'm watching the clip right now.
This is literally like how my brother.
Yeah, yep, and right on his back. Yep, I remember that. And there goes the back. But yeah, so we talk about this stuff a lot. Yeah, I can definitely try my best. If not, I'm sorry. But
Oh, dude.
it was a lot of funny moments when we were younger. But moving on a little bit, I do want to talk about things more recent or whatever. So I we grow up, we get jobs, we go to school, whatever it is. Right now, I'm doing both school and job. Right now, I'm working at a studio. It's called RBN Television. You can find their website online. Just look up rbntv.com, something like that. And I'm a production assistant. But right now, a coworker and I are working on a show. Tomorrow, we're filming it. Actually, today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. We're filming it tomorrow. What's the date tomorrow? Not that it really matters, but it's 28th.
28th, yeah.
And so we're filming it tomorrow at the studio, and it's a sports show or whatever. I just wanted to shout out the sports show. It's called the the prospect, and it's basically so we have a. I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. So I'm gonna try and not make let this take a while. So let me pull up a. We have a Google Doc for it. I'm gonna pull this up and I'm gonna basically read off of it. So basically, just so you have an idea, I'm going to read it word for word. So sorry if this sounds boring. So The Prospect is a comedic sports talk show featuring four hosts: James, myself, George, Shane, and Dan. They're people who I work with. The crew will discuss the latest story circling the sports world, providing golden analysis. So basically, the golden analysis is what we're going to make at the end, or the golden prediction. So the golden analysis is basically just the we just analyze everything basically. The golden prediction is the big prediction where someone's going to make the prediction or whatever, and we reveal the prediction at the end of the show. Then we're probably going to do a guess of like who made that prediction. I don't remember exactly how that's going to play out. So it's the golden prediction, which is guarded by me and George. And the golden predictions are planted anonymously by one of the hosts, and then it's going to be dug up and revealed to the world before every big sports week. And then we will dedicate the time to basically just try to figure out who it is. And the host who plants the week's golden prediction will be revealed the next week, like that it was them. So like we're going to talk about it, like who made this prediction, blah blah blah. Then the next week we'll figure out who did it. So the outline of it is basically we're going to have the intro. He made an intro, which is amazing. George did a lot. Then we're going to have three sports stories, and then we're going to have discussions about them, and then the big golden prediction. And we're also trying to come up with another thing. It's called well, we don't have an exact name for it, but right now it's basically like a dart idea because we have a dartboard and want to incorporate it. But yeah, so I just want to shout out. It's called The Prospect. I don't know where it's going to air exactly. Maybe Amazon Prime. I don't remember, but you can find it through our website. I'm sure at one point we'll have things out. I'll update you guys with that as soon as I can. But yeah, I just wanted to shout that out. So sorry for taking up that time, but yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, that's gonna should run good for you too.
Yeah, if all goes well, it's going to be on my uh on my resume that I started up a sports show with a few people, and it'll be cool
Yeah,
because I'm already a production assistant there, which is pretty dope. So starting up a new show, having that on your resume, maybe just it should go great. But yeah, anyways, moving on from that, like I said, work. So I didn't want to just talk about that. You worked at Amazon. We talked about Amazon a little bit last week.
yeah,
But
yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10, one being the worst job ever, 10 being the best job ever,
That I
how
had.
would you rate? Well, let's start with Amazon. Where would you rate that? And then we can rate all your jobs in order.
I'll have to say it wasn't the worst.
Yeah. Matt has had some bad history with jobs.
I was, the worst one I think I had was a dishwasher.
Oh yeah.
That was the worst because like you're dirty, you're wet, filthy, cleaning other people's food that was eaten out of them. You were sometimes by yourself on a weekend, like so. I worked. I was a busser, dishwasher. I worked at a fruit stand. I and worked for a couple of years now at Amazon at a warehouse where I load trucks, and scan packages and stuff and transport pallets. Like it's warehouse job, so pays good.
Yeah.
I get a good amount. But yeah, like that's like what I'm doing part time right now. Like I'm still going to college for accounting, so. But yeah, dishwashing I think was the worst.
Okay. What would you say was the second worst?
I'm gonna have to go with busing.
Busing, really? Because I know you hated the fruit stand.
Actually, fruit stand because in the summer it was so damn hot.
Yeah,
and it was just not good.
And you didn't like the environment of the people too.
No, my bosses weren't this good. But I remember when I was a dishwasher, I worked at a couple of my buddies they worked at this place up the street from us, and it was a bar, and
Mhm.
they made expensive food. The high rollers, them guys used to come in, so like my thing, and they were bus my couple of my buddies were buses there, and they were
Mhm.
pulling in, dude, like making on tips a ton, like with equivalent to tips, they were making probably like, especially on weekends, probably like 30 an hour.
Mhm.
So I was like, man, I gotta hop in there. But for me, it was like I had to be a dishwasher to do that. I had to start from square one to that. So I started from going square one to making only 11, 12 an hour as a dishwasher
Mhm.
to making 25 something an hour, you know, being being a busser.
Yeah.
Dishwashing was terrible because it was like, oh man, you had the plates coming in was just nuts.
Well, at least you didn't eat off
And
them.
no,
Some
it
people
was
did.
on the weekends, it was me and this other girl or other dude. And then during the week, you were by yourself.
Yeah.
But like they would make you by yourself on Friday nights. And that was tough. That was so tough.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't really, it was so tough. And like, I'll be honest with you, when you like have a job like that, don't get me wrong, that's like that was something that, you know, was meant that was did it for a reason.
Yeah.
In the end I got, my car, enough money to be saved. So wasn't for nothing. I didn't take bullshit for nothing.
Yeah.
Um and like it was tough. It was a mental game too.
Mhm.
And like that, I'll tell you what, I think that job really made me stronger mentally and
Mhm.
made me able to take more things. Like people at Amazon are like, "Oh, this is a lot of work. This is that." But
Mhm.
like in my head, I'm like, I was cool with it because I
Mhm.
was like, it was so much worse.
I mean, everyone I've talked to, so it sounds like Amazon was your favorite out of them all,
Yeah, it
which is
wasn't.
crazy because I know so many people. I'm not saying it's your favorite job ever that you're ever going to have, but right now it's one of your favorites that you've had. That is, and it's crazy because everyone I know hated working at Amazon and even warned him that
Well,
it's terrible.
I think that those people that hated it probably weren't dishwashers.
Yeah.
That was the worst. I'm telling you, dude.
Well,
That
I
was
just
the
know
worst.
my sister has some stories. I might have to
That
have
was the
her talk about
worst.
these, but there were some cases. This one girl recently, I think, or maybe a year or two ago, but my sister worked there a while ago. It was like over maybe like 10 years ago. I don't know, but she
Yeah.
not maybe not 10 because she's only 25, so she wasn't 15. But she was working there not super long ago, but not recently. So it wasn't in this time frame, but recently one of the people who she worked with there, I think, recently just killed her own baby and basically said that I don't remember exactly how it went, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But there were psychos who worked there. Another guy who worked there, we heard about these people
Huh.
who killed a girl and put her in a trash can. She worked with one of those people, and that was a big story that
Yeah.
was surfacing around this area. She ended up working with some of these people who did a lot of bad things, and
At- Well, the one that where I work though, there really there's so many people though that I
yeah,
know from high school that work
that's
there.
true.
And it's not like
It's
the
not the
one that
same.
we work at, it's not people that are from all over Jersey
Yeah.
or from, you know what I mean? It's people that are basically from like
Gonna say
our
other
area
things.
pretty much. So it's not as bad.
Yeah.
And it's one of those places too where people do mind their business.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's going around effing around. You go in,
You're
you
at
have one
work.
task and you work and then you get out. Like
Hmm.
it's simple as that. Um, but no, it's not like for me, work is work. Like I don't really like work is like a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
This is a good amount of people that don't like what work,
Yeah.
but you still have to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's very true. There's a lot of things in life that you don't want to do, but you gotta do. I mean, uh, I also work at a school. I can't really talk too much about it. It's not like a terrible job, so I'm not gonna try to connect it with all the negatives. But there was a time where it was a lot of negativity going on. I even left that job and worked at a pizza shop. I almost forgot about the pizza shop I worked at, but I left, worked at a pizza shop, and then ended up going back for less pay because I wasn't working on contract anymore because I was a custodian. So I started in June of 2020. I worked there from June of 2020 all the way till November of 2021 or whatever. So uh, uh, over a year, almost a year and a half, I worked there, and I ended up leaving that job.
Yeah.
And I left. I was on a good contract at that point. Working pretty good hours. Um, I was working 40 hours a week. Okay, yeah, and so I was working 40 hours a week, and I ended up um leaving, and I worked at the pizza shop. Pizza shop was fine, good money for a while. Then was I had to work more at I had to do more school work and stuff, so I had to focus on that more. So I left the pizza shop, or I didn't leave it. I had to cut down on my hours, so I did that, and then I ended up um, leaving that eventually just to go back. But there's a whole story behind that. But yeah, so I worked. My first job ever was at a farmer's market, but I worked out on the farm. So that was my first job. My second job was the school as custodian. Then my third job was the pizza place. Then I went back to the school. So then my fourth job is where I'm at now, along with the school, which is the television, the studio. And yeah, so working there or whatever, it's pretty nice. So I don't know how I would rate these jobs personally for me, but I can't really talk too much crap about any of them. I really liked working on the farm, even though it was terrible weather, or whatever. I mean, the weather was warm, very warm. It wasn't the worst weather ever, but it was very hot. Um, and you're working on a black tarp. Basically, the fields are made right on top of the dirt is black tarp, and then so conditions wise, if I had to rate conditions, RVN, the studio is on the top because I'm indoors. I don't have to, and it's it's pretty clean. I mean, it is what it is. Working at a school as a custodian, you see all the dirty parts about it. So, and working in a pizza place, I mean, it wasn't terribly dirty, but you do see the dirty parts as well because you're in the back the whole time, pretty much. So you see the dirty parts that, but I mean, I still ate at the place. It wasn't terrible. Usually, a lot of people who work at a place, they're like, I can't eat the food here. I see it all the behind the scenes. It wasn't that bad. So if I had to rate off of cleanliness, because personally, I don't know how I'd rate them right now. Uh, where out of like places I would like to like work and all. But based off cleanliness, I would have to say the studio's number one, like my favorite. Number two would have to be the pizza shop probably because um it's just more like you're not working with dirt and stuff. And it wasn't terribly dirty. I mean, it's still the food was edible, even seeing behind the scenes. And then number three would have to be the farm. Even though you're working out on the field, it's not nearly as dirty as cleaning up someone's feces. So that's probably how I'd rate them because I don't know. Maybe if you want to go off of cleanliness, that's pretty much how I'd rate them. But I think is there anything else you want to touch on before we end the episode?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think I'm good.
So thank you for tuning in with us. So far we're only on YouTube right now. We haven't really expanded to Spotify and all the just audio versions yet. So for now, we'll try our best to figure that out. But right now, I like sticking with the YouTube. It's a little bit less stress, with school and stuff going on. But thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed. This has been Anything and Everything podcast. I'm your host, James. This is your host, Matt. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Peace.